Coming up on the next episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
What can a musical conductor teach us about leadership? According to Hugh Ballou, the answer is everything. With more than 40 years on the podium, Hugh has led choirs, orchestras, and now leaders. Today, he shares how balance, clarity, and rehearsal are the secret to transforming teams.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
You're now listening to Zuzu All Grown Up.
She's been featured in more than 20 films from the early days of film and television.
He is a psychotherapist and her loving husband.
Together, they are on a mission to brighten your day and your life.
It's a time to smile, a time to laugh, a time to expect more.
It's time to get inspired with your hosts, Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
It's time to meet Zuzu, all grown up.
Karolyn Grimes has made a lifelong commitment that is based on the profound belief that everyone deserves to experience their own wonderful life. Her husband, Dr. Chris Brunell, has long since joined her on this mission, bringing his own unique passion and insight. Together, their dedication reflects a deep desire to inspire others to embrace the profound truth that life is truly wonderful when we recognize and cherish the love and connections that are all around us. Join Karolyn and Chris to witness how one individual's life can inspire countless others, revealing the transformative power of one person who is determined to do good. As you connect with our inspiring guests, you'll realize that your own journey is also about self-realization, helping others, and earning your wings. Just like today's guest, you too have a unique potential to inspire and elevate those around you. Stay tuned. Another episode of Zuzu, All Grown Up, is about to begin.
Get ready for miracles. Get ready for Zuzu. All Grown Up.
Today's guest is Hugh Ballou, conductor turned leadership strategist and founder of the SynerVision Leadership Foundation. After decades leading choirs, Hugh realized the same skills that create harmony in music can also transform how we lead teams. Now he helps leaders clarify their vision, build better systems, and lead with purpose. Hugh, welcome to the show. Karolyn, Dr. Chris, over to you.
Hugh, you've been spending over 40 years as a musical conductor. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
When I was 18, I saw somebody direct a choir and I said, I could do that. I was in music school studying piano. I was going to be a piano teacher. Then I was going to be a musicologist. And I think, oh, come on, come to your senses. Saw somebody direct and I said, I could do that. So I found a note to be a choir director at 18 in a local church in Atlanta. I was doing that for 40 years, from small size, 120 congregation to 12,000. I hired the major orchestras in the major cities where I worked. So you had to have the chops not only for the choir, but you had to have the ability to put the orchestra and the choir together. My main profession was choral, but I also, had to have the ability to do the orchestra. So what a conductor knows about leadership is we have to have our act together. We have to know the results we want, and we have to empower people in the culture to achieve those results. I don't care what your profession is. The end result is how we're judged. People who are not a conductor perceive a conductor to be a dictator. Well, I got to tell you, you got a little white stick and you're in front of union musicians who are very high performing professionals. You can't make them do anything. You can, however, influence them because of your ability, the clarity of your vision, and your guidance. And so there are corporate leaders and nonprofit leaders and other leaders in communities that try to tell people what to do, and it doesn't work. What we want to do is help people at the destination and empower them to get there.
I guess you honed your skills as a leader throughout all those years, and somehow you've gone on beyond.
In serving a 12,000 member church where I had 750 people in the music ensembles and 12 pastors, 3 full-time organists, CEOs of major corporations, you had to be able to influence people and had to be able to put people of different backgrounds together, not only musically, but in power and leadership. So there was the challenge to be very clear on the results and then to nurture that and to build relationships. It was not about the music. It was about how do we get there. So as music director, the Ballou 10-90 rule started there. 10% was music. 90% was what made music possible. So I don't care what industry you're in. You're leading a big tech company or you're running a small community charity. Your product, your event, your service is 10% of your business. 90% is all of the infrastructure that makes it possible. So when you see a conductor in concert, that's 10%. The 90% is all of that that's happened to make it possible. I created 4 principles of leadership.
What would those be?
The number one is a conductor, you have to know the score. Now, the score is that piece of paper has dots on it. Everybody knows what to do because it's written down, and you know how to guide it because you've got that chart. So in business or in a nonprofit or in a religious community, that's your strategic plan. I call that the foundation. Where are you going? Can you clearly articulate your vision? And have you equipped yourself to lead that? So if you have that in place, then you know the competencies you're going to need to get there. So the second principle is hire the best. If I wanted to have a good concert, I needed the best players around me. So I hired the best people. This is relationships. So we've built a strategy and we put people into the strategy and they know what to do. The third one, this is where people start to fall down. They have good people, they have where they work, and then they have systems that don't work. So we want to rehearse for success. And I know, if I ask you this, I know the answer. Have you ever attended a boring, unproductive meeting? Well, you're probably going to say yes. You might even say you might have led one. And I have. Let's just admit it. If a conductor has a bad rehearsal, we're going to have a bad performance. Yet, in non-musical settings, we think, oh, we can just have a meeting and it's going to happen anyway. No, we're setting the model for high performance. So that third one is you got good people, good work. So we have to build systems where they can actually function. The fourth principle makes all the rest of it work. In music, it's called value the rests. Rests are not absence of sound, it's punctuation. In life, that's balance. So leaders are balanced. You don't start more than you can manage. You don't have too many priorities because you're going to minimize the important ones. And you don't work all the time. You care for yourself. So if you create that balance as a leader, then you're going to be able to lead all the other parts of those 4 principles: foundation, relationships, systems, and balance. And you can work on those the rest of your life, and there's still time to grow.
I think too often balance is not really taken into consideration. If we have more of a balance, people can not only do their job well, but also they can take care of their own priorities, their own families, and have more quality of life.
Absolutely. That's a key one. You know, I'm an expert in leadership because I've made all the mistakes many times. The real thing is I've learned from those mistakes. People who don't learn and repeat them haven't grown in their skills. 2007, I started doing keynotes. So I had to turn around and face the audience, which was different because you make a mistake in conducting, everything could fall down. If you say a wrong word as you're speaking, you could just pivot. I thought about what's going to differentiate me as a leadership coach, a strategist, leadership empowerment, a culture creator. What's going to differentiate me from those hundreds of thousands of people that claim to do the same thing? Well, it's the conductor teaches leaders what a conductor knows about building high performance teams and a culture of high performance. I was thinking, let me articulate what I actually did for 40 years. And I actually did more than I was aware of doing, but I put it into concrete form so I could communicate it. And then out of that, I've written 12 books, 10 ebooks, 10 online learning courses, and have 400 podcasts with leaders. I've put the pedal down on how do we accelerate our growth, but do it in a very systematic way that's not speeding. We don't want to get a ticket by speeding, but actually, if we could do it, we go fast, we do it slowly, we build a more solid foundation.
You have clients all over the world, don't you?
I do. I'm on 4 continents. Sometimes I go there. Sometimes I'm right here on my computer and we look on Zoom. It's just a small world. When I have groups, I'll have people from 4 continents on the same screen.
So your title is the Transformational Leader Strategist. What in the world does that mean?
Yeah, I say that because people ask, well, what does that mean? There's lots of coaches, life coaches and leadership coaches, and it's basically being a coach is an unregulated industry, so there's no real quality control. If you're a therapist or a counselor, at least you got to get credentials and you have to be licensed, but coaches, no. So I thought, well, and consultants, everybody's got a bad consultant story because somebody that can write and hang a shingle out and get a license can be a consultant. So I moved from being a consultant to being an insultant. So I went to being a resultant. Then realizing we can talk about systems, we can talk about strategy, but until you've got the integration of strategy and performance, you really don't have a full spectrum of how to get from where you are to where you want to be. So that's basically transformation starts with you. Then you transform organizations. And then if you have a worthy product or service, you transform people's lives. So it's a continuum. So it's transformational leadership strategist is about transformation by leading your strategy. And my company is SynerVision. In music, we have this thing we call ensemble. You play together, you rehearse together, you get better, you get more unified. That's what we call ensemble, an actors ensemble. And not in music, synergy is how we build that synergy with the vision of the leader.
What are some of the most common traps for leaders?
You talked about it earlier, that not having balance. The words of Mary Bowen, who was a psychiatrist, developed 8 leadership concepts. Overfunctioning is the first one. We do things that other people could do because we think delegation is a weakness when actually it's a strength. We claim to be burned out and we want to blame other people. Overfunctioning is not being aware of how to delegate, and then we're afraid of losing control. But that's because we haven't built the system. So overfunctioning, I see in any industry. People do too much and then not understanding leadership in its fullest. So what I teach is transformational leadership that was developed in the 1980s by 2 writers, Burns and Bass, and it was modeled after the military, which really is a good model because you don't micromanage people in combat. We don't micromanage when you're on stage or when you're either acting or performing a musical concert. You really can't micromanage people. So the transformation happens in being clear about the vision, equipping people to raise the bar on their functioning, guiding the process. And fundamentally, it's about the vision, not about us. Autocratic leaders are the boss. It's about them. No, it's about the vision and where we're going to go. We're the guide. And there's a saying about conductors, what they see is what you're going to get. Meaning, if you're not clear, the orchestra and the choir are going to be unclear. They're going to produce results that you don't want. To model what we want, the authentic leader models what they expect of others. If you're late, if you're anxious, if you don't prepare, that's going to be the culture that you've defined. So the third one is leaders want to blame people for what they set up and what they cause.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
Start your morning right with premium coffee roasts available at ZuzuNetwork.com and drink them in your Zuzu All Grown Up coffee mug. Also perfect for tea and hot chocolate.
Stay inspired throughout the day with the same gratitude journal used by Karolyn and Chris, and check out t-shirts, hats, books, Christmas keepsakes, and more at ZuzuNetwork.com/shop.
Join Zuzu's network today at ZuzuNetwork.com/join.
Karolyn is creating an international network of aspiring angels, everyday people who believe that they can help make the world a better place by making life better for even just one other person.
Let us know you want to earn your wings at ZuzuNetwork.com/join, and Karolyn and Chris will send you inspirational material to support you in your journey.
We're back with more Zuzu All Grown Up.
So managing self, managing anxiety, and being very clear. And finally, we have to be prepared. We can't lead unless we've worked on ourselves. Jim Rohn, the famous speaker, used to say, work on yourself harder than you work on your business. Work on yourself is the primary driver. Then you can grow your business. If it's a nonprofit is a business, it's a for-purpose business enterprise, not a for-profit enterprise. If you're running a church or a synagogue, I don't care what you're running, community charity, work on yourself, because that will manifest in different results than if you don't work on yourself.
What do you think some of the prevailing myths around leadership?
Nothing happens unless I say it happens. We have to be the boss. I don't like to be micromanaged. I don't like to be told what to do. And guess what? That's the prevailing attitude. So we want to be clear on what the results are. And we don't spend enough time to be clear. As a conductor, we spend 2 to 3 hours preparing for every hour of rehearsal. We are ultimately prepared because it's very demanding work, and you've got 100 people depending on you to get the results in that 2-hour gig you've paid for. But we don't do that in other settings. We don't figure out how we're going to get from A to Z. And it's not us doing it, it's us empowering others. Because if we're the micromanager, we're the autocratic leader, we're the bottleneck. Nothing happens. So people are twiddling their thumbs waiting for us to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And then meanwhile, we're burned out and we're blaming them. We've set it up. That's the overfunctioning. The myth is we have to be the boss. And because of that, we do overfunction. Some other myths are really not understanding where we're going, having spent time building our vision, our mission, and articulating our goals. I encounter people in very successful businesses saying, I don't want to do that because it limits my creativity. Meanwhile, they're losing a lot of money in the middle of the culture because people are not productive. And when you're not productive, I don't care how much you're making, you're not satisfied. People come to the table with skills. They want to produce results. And when they get a paycheck, they want to feel worthy. The myth is it doesn't matter how I feel, I can hide it. No. If you're anxious, everybody's going to know because it's contagious. I taught middle school for part of my life for 3 years. I learned a whole lot about leadership. And if you show up anxious, they can smell it and they go for the jugular. Yeah. They're just a lot more honest about it than adults are. We can go down a long trail. The biggest myth is I will do this when. I'll build my skills when I get to be the boss. I'll learn how to make better decisions when I'm the boss. I will do this when. Well, if you do it now, then when will come. If you don't do it now, you might never get to when. So work on yourself now. Build your skills and never stop. We think we've reached a plateau. That's a myth. Okay, I've got it. I can smoke a cigar, put my feet up. No. The higher you are, the more pressure there is. There's in the military. If your platoon doesn't respect you, you could get shot in the back in combat. There's corporate leaders that get shot in the back every day, and they don't even know it because they're not paying attention. And that's the final one. If you're not listening to the people in your network, then you're isolating yourselves from some facts that you need. Leaders don't want to talk to the person that answers the phone or empties the trash, but those people know things that nobody else knows. And we don't have to govern everything we do by what they say, but we can learn what's really going on. So we cut off ourselves from the information system below us that's really going to help us.
You've published 12 books and 10 online courses. How in the world did you have time to do all that with everything you're doing?
In music, poco a poco, little by little. If you write a blog post, you write another blog post, pretty soon you got a book. My first book I wrote in 2004 when I left 40 years of full-time work, and it was called Moving Spirits, Building Lives. And I wrote it around the conductor being a transformational leader. And I wrote it out of real experience. So I sat down, I outlined it, and I spent 30 days and I wrote the book. And then I've written multiple books. I have one, Transforming Power, that's an anthology of leadership stories from transformational leaders. So I figured, well, not just the how-to books, but the books that have stories that people can rally around. And then I have this 31 Days Becoming a Better podcast. So I did those in 31 days, and I did transcriptions, and then I did action guides to go with it. So I've got this book. It's a workbook, but it's also a whole course on leadership. You know, this is what's missing in a lot of people's lives. They don't realize, oh, that's part of leadership. So that's a good question. Little by little, the byproduct is you've got an article, and then ultimately you got a book.
I think a lot of things that you're talking about, I wish I had known about these when I was in those positions, because I thought that I was very in tune, listening to what they're trying to say. I was trying to do many of those things that you're saying. But the way that you lay this out makes it so much clearer.
Sturdy stuff, but it's also applicable to your life and your course through life if you pay attention.
So you teach that leadership and communications are some of the most misunderstood words in our language. Why is that?
We think sending an email is communication. Constantly, research shows that 7% of a message is in the words. And email is only words. If I'm looking at you, say, oh, I am so excited. And I go, I'm so excited. My face, you feel the inflection. So 93% wasn't in the words. The same words can change the meaning. We also want to tell people what to do. We also want to walk over people to make sure that we get credit for the results, when in fact, if we give other people credit, it elevates us. And so leadership, communication, and financial results. People don't buy from somebody they don't understand or know. They don't donate to nonprofits. So those are all built on relationship. Leadership is based on relationship. Communications are based on relationship. Financial results fundamentally are based on relationship. It's a trusted channel. We know people, they know us. All kind of people on LinkedIn saying, oh, you need a new website. I'm the guy. And I'm like, who are you? And by the way, I got a new website. We skip over some of those steps, and I work with lots of community charities, and why don't people give us money? Well, they don't want to be on my board. Have you spent time getting to know what they're interested in? I had a marketing guy from my company one time, and I said, what do our customers say? He said, well, I don't know. I said, you're fired. How are you going to do a marketing program if you don't know what people say about us? So it's fundamentally, all of those are based in relationship. And also, leadership is simple. You can get 6 billion results when you Google it. But 3 things: leaders get things done. 2, leaders know how things get done. If they don't know how, they figure it out. And 3, leaders influence other people. I go into organizations, say, who's a leader? And I get a few hands. I say, here's the parameters. Then everybody raises their hand, their leader in their channel at their level, and they feel good about that.
What about your youth? When you were growing up, your home life, how did your foundation start?
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
To find out more about the organization featured in today's episode or a previous episode, and to learn more about how you can help, go to zuzunetwork.com/beanangel.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Have you heard? Affordable healthcare is better than ever. And right now there are more carriers and plans to choose from. If you're between 18 and 64 years old with a household income of $25,000 or less, this message is for you. Right now, the government's Affordable Care Act is available for individual and family health coverage plans with little to no cost to you. Don't gamble your health. Call Health Care for All. 70% of callers qualify for a zero-cost healthcare coverage. See if you are one of them. Call now. Our agents are standing by to help you get the health insurance plan you and your family needs and deserves. If you're uninsured or struggling to afford your current health insurance, help is just a phone call away. This is not Medicaid or Medicare. This is the marketplace with the largest selection of healthcare plans from the Affordable Care Act. To find a plan that's right for you, call 800-788-2406. That's 800-788-2406.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and don't have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you don't pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call if you've been injured in an auto accident. Call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Auto accident.
Zuzu's book club features recommendations from Zuzu herself on books she loves and thinks you will love also. All of the books that the club reads, fiction and nonfiction, are inspirational and uplifting. Folks, this is a life-enhancing club to be part of. You can sign up for free at zuzunetwork.com/book club. That's zuzunetwork.com/book club. Today's pick is from our guest, Hugh Ballou, and it's called Leaders Transform: The Art of Influence, Book 1, Begin with Self-Transformation. In this book, Hugh reminds us that leadership isn't about power. It's about purpose. It's about taking a look at the systems, relationships, and beliefs we've built around us and within us. You can find Leaders Transform on Amazon.
This is Zuzu, all grown up.
I was interested in piano, kept going, and it was that nurture, listening to good music, having conversations around the table. My mom made things happen. You know, she was a stay-at-home mom, but she made a lot of things happen. And my dad worked for the general accounting office and created pretty substantial footprint with that people still model after his death. So it was having nurturing parents, having a space to do things, be encouraged. Okay, it's okay that didn't work. Try it again. What did you learn? That kind of encouragement at home was really priceless. And Karolyn, nobody's asked me that in an interview. That's a great question.
Given you a wonderful foundation to grow, and it certainly has made a beautiful tree.
And I've learned more recently. I've spent the last 13 years working with a coach, studying the work of Murray Bowen, the psychiatrist Bowen family system. So we learn about ourselves by studying our family of origin. The more you learn about yourself, the better leader you can be. And you also learn you can't change other people, but when you change, people respond to that change.
I work as a therapist, and in working with couples, a lot of what you've been talking about would apply, not only as a leadership, but also as just a father and a husband or wife. And these principles are powerful.
I don't know if you ever studied the work of Murray Bowen, but it was
sure,
life-changing for me in studying with Roberta Gilbert, who wrote books and put them into his teaching into systems. I learned that my father and his father were CPAs, very structured, debit, credit, good or bad, left home at the same time, came home at the same time, very precise. My mom was nonlinear, very creative. So what am I? I am a blend. I'm a musician. You have a rigid structure, and you have to be creative without breaking the rules. So a place I come in is teaching leaders, okay, you're visionary, you don't care about all the structure, but please, that's what's going to make you successful. That's how people around you know what to do, and that's how you can guide the process. So if it's not your thing, put somebody on your team that likes that. So if you're really way over visionary, find somebody that's really tactical, and let's work together. That's a strength of leadership. We tend to think if somebody else does something that's making us look bad. Not true. Not true at all. So it's right brain, left brain that distinguishes me, but it's really also that piece that helps me think, okay, how can we solve this problem? And it gives me a good ability to put lenses on. The last 3 churches I served were in a crisis when I got there. And I was the analytical person to help, okay, let's put systems in place. Let's move forward. And it all worked.
It must be very satisfying to know that you have changed and helped all these people through the years to conduct things more efficiently and maybe make a difference.
It is so gratifying. And people will come back and say, this is what you did, or this is what you said that changed my life. I may not even remember. People pay you for therapy. They pay me for coaching, and they pay me for strategy. I spend the money, but they have the results forever. Leaders don't tell people what to do. You help people, you nurture them into making decisions. And in therapy, you don't tell people what to do. You help them grow their skills and be self-aware and a whole lot of things, but ask good questions. I think that's what we both do, is we ask good questions. I form opinions, and people I work with form opinions thinking about those questions. And asking good questions is what leaders should be doing, not giving the answers.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to learn more about how they could include this in their organization, whatever it is. How can they reach out to you?
If they want to know about Hugh, go to abouthugh.com. There's my email, my phone, my cell. There's a calendar link. You can schedule a time. There's some of the programs I have in my podcasts. Podcasts are free. I have a nonprofit and a for-profit. SynerVision Leadership Foundation focuses on those 501c3s that are struggling. and need an extra leg up. So my legacy is having systems people can install into their business or their charity and be successful and impact more people's lives. So they can go to abouthugh.com and they can learn. There's a Forbes article, a link to a Forbes article that really tells it better than I do.
Do you still play the piano?
I don't. And you got to keep your chops to be able to do that. And I was marginal. I was the guy they shouldn't have let into music school and they shouldn't have let out. When I work with a corporate leader, I give them the baton and it says conducting transformation.
You give these people the tools, but you talked about the 4 principles. Once they get immersed in this and they start on this journey, that there might be some extra coaching that is needed. How would they find out how to tweak it or to refine the process?
Well, I have a nonprofit community. It's nonprofitcommunity.org. And that's where groups of people work together and I guide them. And there's a membership fee, small one. But also if people want to accelerate their skills and be in a mastermind group, I have that. And then I work with people individually. I think the biggest mistake I've seen and the biggest mistake I make is letting people hire me that don't want to work on themselves. And you don't just get a download, here's the strategic plan for my enterprise. Well, that's a piece of paper. Now the integration needs to happen. And the biggest mistake people make is, okay, I got it. I'm going to go, well, if you could have done it without me, then why did you come to me in the first place? Mm-hmm. So the most successful people that I've worked with have stayed with it for a year. They've committed to a year and they've said, yes, I want to learn. And, there's lots of twists and turns in the pathway. I know you have clients that are in therapy for a while, and we just can't predict how fast we're going to catch on or how stable we can be in the journey. Mm-hmm. And there's many things that come up.
What you just shared there is one of the most difficult aspects. It's about having people take ownership of their lives and finding the motivation to make change. It's about getting involved with life and others. Communicating with other people is incredibly vital. And if you can't do that, it's hard to be a leader. This is so clear, and it's something that anybody that is truly inspired to be a better leader or just a better person for that matter can really drive a lot from it.
You're a combination of the down-home good old boy and an extremely intelligent executive. And you don't see that combination very often. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you. God made one Hugh Ballou. So work on yourself. Don't ever give up and always have a coach.
Thank you very much.
Whether you're leading a choir, a company, or your own personal mission, Hugh Ballou reminds us that leadership is less about control and more about conducting. It's about knowing your score, choosing the right players, rehearsing well, and building rest into the rhythm. Because the truth is, excellence isn't accidental. It's orchestrated. Hugh, thank you for sharing your wisdom and your journey with us today. This has been Zuzu, all grown up.
Do you know someone who is earning their wings? Someone practicing kindness and service to others? Perhaps an organization or initiative helping make the world we live in a kinder, sweeter place.
Or maybe you've witnessed the miraculous, the divine, the magnificent in some way in your life, and you'd like to share it with others. Go to zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory and let us know more.
You may end up being featured on an upcoming episode of Zuzu All Grown Up. That's zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
We hope you've been inspired to live your most wonderful life now and to help those around you do the same.
Remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, there are people who care about you, and your life makes a difference.
It is a wonderful life.
Check out ZuzuNetwork.com for more on today's and other episodes, including transcripts and merchandise you won't want to be without.
New episodes are coming soon.
For transcripts of today's broadcast, go to ZuzuNetwork.com/transcripts.
Watch a video clip of today's episode at www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. Then click on the Reels tab from the top of the center of the page. Catch up on past episodes and discover currently premiering and upcoming episodes as well, and get helpful links and exclusive clips from our recordings. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up.
Zuzu All Grown Up with your hosts Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
Announcer and guide Seth Kennedy.
Executive producer Kevin R. Stillmock.
Coordinating producer Holly Ann Way.
Technical producer Stella Joelle.
Managing producer Karina Filatova. A Wonderful Land production.
In collaboration with Radio Wonderful.